Greetings, welcome to Jefficho Films. Today we're going to talk about 1981 fantasy movie with the dragon, directed by Matthew Robbins, who went on to write Mimic, also a good movie, so good job there. It's also starring Sir Ian McDiarmid, straight off of Star Wars, the originals, not the new stuff. So, I'm sure you could come back for that too. Anyways, let's review Dragonslayer.
Now be it known throughout the kingdom that this maiden, having lawfully been chosen by a deed of fortune and destiny, shall hereby give up her life for the greater good of her land.
This movie starts out with people with torches on a hike as they head to see Ulrich of Cragganmore, a sorcerer, and he knows why they've come. His apprentice Galen Bradwarden says they have visitors, and Ulrich tries to impress as he inspects the dragon scale and tooth.
You want me to do battle with that?
Who else can we turn to?
What about Rimbod? I heard tell he killed a dragon once.
They're all dead. You're the only one left.
Ulrich demonstrates his knowledge of dragons before he goes to get dressed for his quest. Then Tyrian shows up, one of the king's guards, and he calls his men with him, and he doesn't think the sorcerer can help, and he demands proof. So Ulrich sends Galen to go get his dagger, and he has Tyrian stab him. Unfortunately, it appears to kill him. Galen burns his master's body, and it glows green, a sign of magic. Also, 3 comets overhead, so, this is something special. The next day, Galen's cleaning up, and he keeps coming across this crystal he was given from his master, and he'll hide it and just reappears again, so he takes it as a sign. So Galen and Hodge head out to catch up to the group that left.
Salvete, we are Taurus.
What do you want?
My lord Ulrich is no longer. All that you asked of him, you may now expect of me.
We jump back to the kingdom of Erland, where a virgin is being sacrificed to the dragon. But has a dragon ever been like, no, this one wasn't a virgin, I'm still gonna burn your village? I don't think so. Well, she's stuck in these handcuffs, and well, I could've got out of those. That's easy. We hear the haunting sounds of the dragon and see its claw, and she trembles at its sight and makes a run for it, but the dragon has other ideas, and it likes its virgins. She also tries to escape, but it really just leads to this. Valerian goes for a swim and so does Galen, and he sees that Valerian is a girl's name. Her father apparently disguised her as a boy to avoid the lottery where they were sacrificing girls to the dragon.
I prefer to swim alone if you don't mind. Stay away!
Galen sees a vision of Hodge getting shot by an arrow by Tyrian, and then he goes there and he finds him dying and gets some dying instructions. Then they sail back, and Galen wants to see the lair. I don't know if he's brave or just ignorant, but everybody watches in fear. Galen climbs down into the cave over many skeletons, and the ground shakes and some smoke bellows out, and he climbs out and grabs his little crystal and uses his magic. There's a bit of a delay, but the mountain rock slide just covers the entrance. I think it did a lot more than he expected. The group is excited, so they go back to the village for a celebration, and Valerian's father catches her looking at a dress. She steps outside wearing it, and she looks good, but probably not the best idea, as all the other girls are probably pissed that she cheated the lottery. Galen dances with her and everybody else joins in, until Tyrian shows up because he wants to ruin everybody's mood and says the king wants to meet the sorcerer.
Right. How many of you have ever seen a table fly? None of you. None of you have ever seen a table fly.
Not sure why he's doing tricks for the king. I think it's a nervous habit to prove himself. The king tells him a story when his brother was the king and that they attacked the dragon and it provoked these horrible attacks. And then he grabs the crystal. He prefers the lottery, sacrificed a few to keep the peace, and then he walks Galen up because he's a bit of a dick. Then Princess Elspeth shows up and she's talking to Galen in his cell, and he says that she was never in the lottery. She's a bit naive.
Everyone knows how this choosing works. The families with money, royal connections.
She confronts her father about it, but he denies the truth, and then the ground shakes, so she decides to let Galen out of his cell. Tyrian chases after him, but he still escapes. Then a young Palpatine leads a prayer session by the lair's entrance, and he comes face to face with the dragon, but he doesn't fear it, for he has died many times, and I'm sure he'll come back again too. Well, he doesn't fare too well, and the dragon dive bombs the village.
Unclean beast!
Be thou consumed by the fires that made thee!
Tyrian and his troops are looking for Galen, but the blacksmith and his daughter Valerian hide him, and then Galen gets out and asks him a stupid question.
Blacksmith, have you ever forged a weapon?
The blacksmith gave Galen a spearing maid, greatest ever. He says it will bleed, but he still wants his amulet. Later that night, they hold the lottery and gather all the girls, but the name drawn is Princess Elspeth. The king, upset by this, decides to draw another name, but they're all Princess Elspeth. And then she steps forward and says it's her turn to take a risk. And then he finds Galen snooping around his quarters, but he has a change of heart.
I've always had the greatest admiration for the black arts, you chaps with your mysterious spells.
Sir, I beg you consider what you're doing. Give him that. He'll destroy everything you've built.
It's my daughter.
Galen uses his magic to heat the spear's tip. I'm not sure you're going to make it any sharper, but I guess you want to put some magic on top of that to make it cooler. Valerian goes scale hunting, and she starts collecting scales and goes down to the cave and sees some baby dragons. The king thought the dragon was old and that they could wait it out, and Valerian made a shield out of the scales and gives it to Galen, and then they sit down and have a chat, and she asks if he's in love. He says yes, and then she goes off on a tangent about the princess.
I am in love. But not with the princess.
That night they chain the princess up, and then Galen shows up, and Tyrian wants the sacrifice to go through, so he threatens him. He manages to free the princess, who wanders off and, goes to sacrifice herself anyways. And then he proves how sharp his spear is.
Now prepare yourself.
Galen investigates the cave and finds Princess Elspeth dead, being chewed on by baby dragons, who he dispatches with ease. I think Mama Dragon's gonna be pretty pissed, but let's check out these caverns, they're pretty sweet. He manages to jump rock to rock, and then a huge ass dragon stealthily sneaks up behind him, but we do see the shield works. This stupid dragon's so overconfident that Galen manages to make a run for it. The dragon falls and finds its little baby's dead. Sure, it's a lot more pissed, but what's it gonna do? Try and kill you harder? Galen does manage to get some good stabs on it. Valerian discovers Galen the next day, looking tired. Her and her father suggest that they make a life for themselves and leaves. And he goes along with it. They get to a boat, and then he has a vision of what he must do, so he heads back. Also, there seems to be an eclipse. Galen explains that Ulrich had a plan, so they head back into the caverns, and he says, "Don't leave my side." She's a poor listener, and they get separated. Galen spreads his master's ashes on the fire lake, and it goes out, until a green flame appears, which brings back Ulrich. And also, they're really trying to push in some religious stuff here, and have the villagers take over for the dead priest, Ian McDermott. And he's starting to baptize villagers. I mean, you haven't even been trained. You're just going through the motions. The dragon's still flying around, and it looks pretty good for being stabbed through the neck and the back a bunch of times. And Ulrich has a request of his apprentice.
I want you to destroy the amulet. And me along with it.
Ulrich transports to the high ground. I mean, the battle's practically over. He has the high ground. He summons clouds, thunder, lightning, and then the dragon proves that Ulrich is fireproof. So he swoops down and grabs him with his claw, and then Galen smashes the crystal as his master told him to, because Ulrich was the bomb. Now the eclipse is over, the dragon is dead, and although it crashed into water, it's somehow on land so everybody can look at it. And the religious converted town shows up, and so does the king, who takes credit for killing it. Then Galen and Valerian leave to start their life off together. The end. The practical effects were fine, but the screen-on-screen could totally use some work. It could use a bit of an update. The special effects were done by ILM, and they were nominated for an Academy Award, but they lost out to Raiders of the Lost Ark. Also done by ILM. They were also nominated for Best Original Score. Yeah, still no Blu-ray. Caitlin Clarke did a great job in this as Valerian. Sadly, she passed away at the age of 52 in 2004. She went on to do Crocodile Dundee, and it was in Blown Away with Jeff Bridges.
You may not be a sorcerer, Galen Bradwarden, but that doesn't matter. Not to me.
I just wish
What?
we had a horse.
And I gotta admit, it was strange for me to see Peter MacNicol in the leading role. I'm just not used to it. He did a good job though, but I'm just used to him serving Vigo.
What?
I, Vigo, the scourge of Carpathia, the sorrow of Moldavia, command you.
Oh, command me, Lord.
In the end, this is a classic. It's one of those fantasy movies that didn't need to insert any goofy comedy. It was a little bit dark, which was a nice change. I thought the cast was decent. It appeared to be bigger than it was, for sure. They really stretched their budget and did a decent job with it. So if you haven't seen it, you should check it out because it is a classic. As always, thanks for watching.